You're listening to Battling Opioids, the podcast. Battling Opioids, the podcast, now on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcast, TuneIn, Amazon, YouTube, and now radio.com.
Try to be as positive as possible. Try to think of the future and what you're going to do with yourself. Despite all the bad that goes on in the world, you don't have to be a part of it.
We had the opportunity to speak with Anthony Tirado, who shares the eulogy he wrote for his father and other family members who have died from overdoses. Anthony talks about the impact drugs have had on his life, family, and community. He describes how he benefits from being in college and what he envisions for his future. First, Anthony reads the eulogy. Then he talks about his experiences growing up in an environment where drugs played a prominent role.
This is Psychological Acrobat. Fentanyl, I don't know what I did to you. For you to twist my insides to stew, ripping and tearing a hole, festering and growing, taking your toll. But I suppose this is nothing new. You knew they'd bite off more than they could chew. Using veins as an expressway to the psyche, finding a kink in the armor, clutching weakness ever so tightly. Why must you strive to be a part of my life? Restoring old memories of once forgotten strife. It's petrifying, because you know where to strike, with the stark precision of a surgical knife. But I'll give you one thing, you're good at your job. Every family member you've touched, you've robbed. Your collection of contingent attempts are probable and accurate, jumping from coffin to coffin like an acrobat. First my grandmother, then my aunt. My uncle who is a trophy you flaunt. All their childhood friends, dropping like flies, just when I thought I had said all my goodbyes. Now you have taken my father. The flames of my past you smother. What more could you possibly want? The death toll you so feverishly pursue to avaunt. But I can promise you one thing. After all the work you focus to kill my kin, let this pierce you like 1,000 bee stings. You will never touch me. I am heroin free. I was definitely aware of what he was doing, especially in my older teenage years. I never seen him use drugs. He was never somebody who didn't care enough to do them in front of me. You know, him and everyone else in my family, I've never seen anybody use a needle or anything around that, despite the illness that they had and their lack of caring in other aspects of life. They always had in the back of their head, like, I don't want my kids to see this. I don't want my nephew to see this. But I did see the aftermath of it a lot. And, you know, I could hear it going on in the other room, that kind of thing. But the aftermath was just seeing them nod out and seeing them being high and being incoherent, watching them stumble on themselves. Like, I seen that aspect of it, but I never witnessed them in the act of doing those drugs.
In the eulogy, you refer to restoring old memories of once forgotten strife. Can you share what you're referring to?
All of those deaths have been kind of spread out over the years. It's always something that I get better with and something that I recover from. And then another person ends up passing because of it. And it's like, oh, I know, not only have to think about this person that I love that passed away, but I also have to think about these other people that went through the same thing. And it's just a rush of memories that I wish weren't there anymore. I thought that I healed from, and then they all just come back at once. And it's like, well, I thought that I got over that and I was done with it. The family members I have that are recovering and that are still using, they're also constant reminders of that.
Did you know anyone in a similar situation as you were growing up? Anyone that you went to school with?
Most definitely. A lot of friends that I have, they've had parents that were in similar situations. Some of them were lucky enough to keep their parents in their life, but they did the exact same things, you know, drug binges, all that kind of thing has affected me and a whole lot of people that I know. I don't know many people who have parents that have overdosed or anything like that, but I know that it has affected a lot of people in my life. Some of them were different drugs. Some of them were in and out of institutions. Some of them went to rehab and got better. I'm by no means the only person affected by this type of thing, especially the heroin epidemic in Honesdale and Hawley, Newfoundland, Greentown. It's so prominent and so active in our community, and it's insane that it's as bad as it is and so little is done about it. It makes me wish more people would see it, but it's hard to care about something, I feel like, if it doesn't affect you immediately. Most people don't see it, so it's not a problem for them. And if you've never dealt with a family member who has a drug problem or a friend who has a drug problem, it doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal, but it is a big deal for a lot of people. The only thing that I do to not be that person is not be around those people. You know, I can help my uncles and aunts and see them on holidays, things like that, but I could tell you when I seen my family in their worst places and I had no choice as a kid to be around them or not, it was when I was at my worst, and I didn't care about myself and I didn't care about what was going on around me because that was the environment that I was in. Everyone was just sad and didn't care. Now that I'm on my own, my spirit is just so much higher because I stay away from those things. And it's, you know, you gotta be conscious of who your friends are, who you keep, if they're good for you, if they're not good for you. Luckily, I have some of the best friends in the world. None of them are doing anything like that. If I did do anything like that, they'd probably punch me in the face. My family that I choose to be around every day doesn't do anything like that. The people that I associate with are trying to be in the same headspace as me. They're trying to avoid those things and be the best people they can be. And that's really all you can do, is try to be the best that you can be. If you're around other people that are trying, you're going to try.
Does taking classes, going to college, has that helped you to find or build those new friendships, those new support systems?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, everyone that I meet is trying to better themselves. If I'm surrounded by scholars all day, it's a lot different than if I'm surrounded by people who are trying to recover. Not that I think that everyone in college isn't going through something and they're not trying to recover from something, but that's exactly it, is they're trying. You don't have to be around established scholars all day to become a better person. Just to be around people with the same mindset and that you can grow with is very important. I had nobody to work out with. Met this one kid. We've been lifting ever since. He's a really good influence on me. The other day I was going to call out. I tried to lie to him and I was like, oh, well, this teacher's keeping me late after class. You know, I'm working on this essay and she thinks I bombed it, so she's trying to help me with it. And he's like, it's okay, I'll wait. And I was like, oh man, what do I say now? And I went with a student lounge to go to tell him, like, look, I'm just not feeling well. I forgot my clothes. He was in there and I heard him before I went around the corner. He's like, oh man, I'm waiting for my gym partner. We're going to get it in today. We're going to do real good stuff. I got this new workout plan that we're working on. And like, I can't wait to show him. And, you know, we're going to put in some work today. And I just went around the corner and he's like, oh, there's my gym buddy. And I was like, man, now I got to go. And I lifted in boots and jeans, things like that. People like that are who help you be the best that you can be. Him, my teachers. How can you do bad when so many people are lifting you up? Like, you can't fall if you have people holding you up, especially if you don't want to fall. You know, that extra support just makes it so when you have a setback, you don't keep setting back. You have people that bring you back to where you belong. And it's just good to be in that place.
You've shared a lot about your family story. You've shared the eulogy that you wrote that talks about so many family members being impacted. What do you hope people who hear you walk away with? What do you want to leave them with?
Having somebody in your family with a drug problem, it's not in your power to change them. And always remember, people have to want to change, and don't beat yourself up if you try to help somebody and they don't accept that help. It's never your fault. You're never to blame for those kinds of things. Divorce, drug problems. I've been told in my past that people in my life were drug addicts because of me abandoning them and me not being there for them. It's not true. It's never true. Nobody picks up a drug because their kid doesn't talk to them. They pick up a drug because of underlying reasons within themselves. You just have to work to make your life better. You'll find more people that will help you with that. But you have to be able to love from a distance. You'll always love them, but you're not going to give them all your money in your wallet. I've had family members rip copper pipes out of my apartment. It gets rough. Try to be as positive as possible. Try to think of the future and what you're going to do with yourself. Despite all the bad that goes on in the world, you don't have to be a part of it. For kids who are in those situations and are too young to have control of your life, just know that one day you will have control of your life. It's not the end of the world. You could be 14 right now and be dealing with two parents that are drug addicts and, sleeping on the floor. You won't always be sleeping on the floor. You will one day have your own bed, and you'll get that for yourself. And the fact that you live through that and you know what it's like to sleep on the floor is going to make you an even stronger person later on, and your kids will never have to experience that. And that's one of the strongest things that comes out of addiction and hardship and all that. Knowing, for me, one day I will have kids and they will never have to know what that feels like. It's something that I feel very strongly about, and I know is going to happen. I get to bring people into this world and show them the good things about life.
Recovery starts with a call. Call 1-800-662-HELP or visit battlingopioids.org.
It doesn't take long to become addicted to opioids. 13 Pennsylvanians die from them every day. Geisinger is committed to ending opioid addiction with both prevention and treatment. In the last 3 years, we've reduced the amount of opioids we prescribe by 50%. And we've opened 4 medication-assisted treatment centers across the state to help patients recover from addiction. Learn more at geisinger.org/hadenough.